you think?
I'm good.
Good to go? All right. Well, let's do it.
Tell me kind of how you met Shyla.
The best I can remember is Shyla came to run group one night with Stephanie and Jarvis Johnson. And I guess she just kind of kept coming, and that's how I got to meet her. You know, the very first time she came, we didn't get to really talk a whole lot because there's a lot of people here, and I'm trying to speak to everybody and make everybody feel welcomed. And then Shyla just kind of, she has that bubbly personality, you know.
Sponsored by Koros.
Sure.
Not really.
Wish.
When I got to know her, I realized that she has a lot of grit. She has a lot of determination, and she just, her energy just feeds off to other people.
Good job.
So when did you kind of figure out that she had potential to do ultras?
I could just tell, you know, watching her run, kind of keeping an eye on her. On her private runs, when she wasn't with the group, I could see that she could pretty much do anything she wanted to do at any pace that she wanted to do. And then when she came to me and she wanted to do an ultra, I asked her if she wanted a training partner. And we just kind of started training together, went out for long runs. You know, when you spend 3-4 hours running with somebody, you really get to know them.
There she goes. I'm not 12. I gotta get loose. I've been riding. I've been riding for an hour.
Okay. So how long have you been running?
I've been running off and on for about 10 years. I actually never liked running growing up. I was a softball player, and I made sure that I was really good at defense so that I never had to run the bases. And when I went to college, I saw these girls running on the canal in Indianapolis. I went, oh yeah, I could do that. So I went and bought some running shoes and tried to run, and that lasted about a half a mile. And so I stopped. And like most college kids do, gained some weight, and a few years later found a running club in Brentwood, Tennessee, and just took a chance, started to go run with them, and ended up running with them for about 5 years, really. They took me in like I was one of their own kids and raised me up to be a distance runner, and then took 5 years off and eventually got back into running. So it's been a long journey.
So when and where did you run your first marathon, and how was that experience for you?
I ran my first marathon in Indianapolis, Indiana. It was, I believe, 2015. And it was one of those, I started with a 5K, went to a 10K, went to a half marathon, and decided I wanted to do the full marathon. And what made it special was my dad went with me, and my dad, Eric, he's my best friend, and he actually went with me to my first full marathon. And it was about 25 degrees that morning, and us runners, we use these gels to get calories during the run. Well, I remember grabbing my gel and it was frozen, and I went, uh-oh, what am I gonna do? Now I can't eat. So you can just imagine this girl, early 20s, trying to open this gel. My hands were freezing, I couldn't feel anything, and trying to eat this gel. And eventually made it across the finish line, gave my dad a big hug, and could not walk up the stairs to my apartment the next day.
So how did you find out about Monica and the Mad Cow running company and their group?
I found out about the Mad Cow running company in McMinnville through my friends at CrossFit, so Stephanie and Jarvis Johnson. They had told me about it, and during CrossFit, sessions with Stephanie, she would say, come on, come run. You would love it. I went, no, I've been there. I'm retired. I would always say, I'm a retired distance runner. I don't want to do that anymore. So that was that. And Stephanie just, kept encouraging me to go. And so finally met them on a Saturday morning, planned to run 4 to 5 miles, ended up running about 8 miles. And so that's how I got in with the herd, and, just kept visiting the running store and meeting new friends. And ultimately that's how I ended up meeting Monica.
When you got back into running, at what point did you start thinking about maybe you can run a little further than marathon distance?
Yeah, so when I got back into running, I actually had told my running friends I will never do a marathon again, ever. Been there, done that. I've done, New York City Marathon. I've done other marathons. I'm good. I'm happy. And all of the friends that I knew had signed up for the 100K pistol ultramarathon, so 62 miles. And I thought, well, if I'm training with them for their race, maybe I could do one too.
So why did you pick Strolling Jim as your first ultra?
So when I decided that I wanted to attempt to run an ultramarathon, I started looking around at what races, were close to Tennessee that, maybe I could not have to travel as far for my first one, but yet something different. And, there are a ton of options. So an ultramarathon is anything over a marathon. The most common distance is the 50K, so 31 miles. But I thought, no, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to find a unique one. So I saw Strolling Jim in Wartrace, Tennessee, and it said it's one of the only ultras that's still done on the road versus a trail. And it's known for being hot, and it's known for being hilly, and most people would go, I don't want that. I thought, yeah, let's try it. Let's say if we did an ultra, we did a crazy one.
She mentioned Strolling Jim. Now, Strolling Jim is not the first ultra that you want to start out with because it's tough. Most ultras have real nice aid stations about every 3 or 4 miles and nice and flat, but Shyla bit off the hard one, and that's when I knew that she was my girl. Also, Strolling Jim was my first ultra, so I wanted to help her reach that goal. I'm a coach by nature. I've coached for 27 years, and I love seeing people be successful. And Strolling Jim is not for the faint of heart. You got to have a lot of grit and determination. And right off the bat, I saw that with Shyla. We hopped into a training plan. She never had an excuse. I've never heard Shyla complain. If either one of us were going to be out of town and miss a long run, then she had the idea, hey, let's do it on a Thursday, or let's do it on a Friday. She never wanted to miss a long run. And if I said, if 5 miles were on the plan, she was going to do 5 miles, not 4.75, but always willing to do what it took to get the job done. And that's what I love about her. She's like me. She's a data person. She's going to do what the plan says, at the pace it says, or the number of hill repeats that it says. Shyla's a natural.
Overall, I feel that the training for this race went as well as it could have. I feel that I learned so much, not only about listening to my body, but I learned so much about the nutrition and calories that's required to run this distance. Learned a lot of methods around cross training, learned that strength training was so important, mobility. Monica always jokes that I'm a 12-year-old, and so, it's hard for me to sit down and remember to stretch or warm up. I tend to just throw my Hokas on and run. And so it's just been a really good learning experience that I've carried over into races to come. So Monica and I, as much as we love the training, we also love to go race. We love to go out and run with others in the community. It's just a really fun time. So we decided to incorporate a couple of races into this training program. So one of the races that we did was the Cupid Shuffle race, which actually was a confidence builder from a time perspective because we ran around a high school track for 4 hours. And it was just circles and circles and circles. And I think that day I logged just under 25 miles and my body felt really good. Other than that, I believe we did a couple of trail races. We did a 12-mile trail race, just again, a little mix of not pounding the pavement as much. The trails are a little easier on the body sometimes. And we ran a couple of half marathons with some running friends, the Oak Barrel Half Marathon. And yeah, those races were a good mental break from just straight training. And it gave Monica and I a chance to run with some other people. So the day before the race, I was feeling great. My body was ready. I was hydrated. I, thank goodness, had no injuries. And what was most important about that day is I had the two most important men in my life around that day, my husband, Corey, and my dad. And so my dad drove in from Indiana, and he came to watch our son, our English Bulldog Leroy, his grandson, for the day while I raced. We actually took my dad to the packet pickup to get my race bib, my t-shirt, all the fun stuff, and we decided to drive him around the course itself.
Is it hillier than you thought it would be?
Oh yeah, I do. Down here, I didn't see it.
This is nice going down. It's steep.
That's one good thing about it. You go up one, you always gonna go down.
Yeah, and the other thing is a lot of them, if they're kind of balling, you go fast enough on the downhill that it almost takes you off the nuts in the way. You kind of use that momentum.
It's like a car.
That was so important to me because my dad has been my #1 fan since I started running. He's always believed in me, and it just meant so much to me that I was able to share that with him because I knew that before I even started the race, he was already proud of me. And so no matter, even if I made it to mile 2, my dad was gonna be proud of me. So just showing him what I had worked so hard to go out to even try to accomplish, that's a core memory for me that I'll keep forever. And it was just so special to have him there in that moment and just to be able to show him, you know, what all my hard work was going towards. The check-in process for the race was really simple, which is what I love about Strolling Jim. Typically, there is a man named Laz who is at the race. This race actually is his race, his old training grounds. This race started almost 50 years ago in Ward Trace, Tennessee. And normally Laz is there, but this year he was attempting to walk across the country. You might know him from the Barkley Marathon. So Laz is the creator, founder of the Barkley Marathons. But at the check-in process, unfortunately, I didn't get to see Laz because he was out doing some incredible things. But we received a shirt with his adventure that he was attempting on it about, you know, walking across the country, and our race pamphlet with a ton of history about past finishers from the race. and just a lot of people that I was able to talk to that had done the race before and give me some insight, since this was my first Strolling Jim.
Test out these porta potties for tomorrow. We gotta test them out.
Gotta go.
We're all warmed up and ready to go.
Everything come out all right?
Approved, 10 out of 10.
Beautiful. So we got everything?
We're ready to go. Time to eat and
Sleep.
I think we're gonna show him the Barkley documentaries tonight, so he can learn a little bit about Les.
Yep, it's lightening up, so the sun will come out and be like muggy.
Well, so tomorrow it's gonna be muggy. Found
Might be crazy.
a neck wrap.
Freeze it.
Corey can just throw it on and be like, okay.
Do you freeze it?
Yeah. He can put it on and go, okay, you're not hot at all. Run faster.
That's a lie. We know that's a lie.
This is my saving grace. This,
Maybe it'll rain and cool you off.
Coke, and pickles. It's the secret to any ultra runner. That's what I've been told.
We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah, we'll find out. If not, I blame the internet. Do you want to go run 40 miles? Do you want to go run 40 miles? Do you want to eat the food that it takes to run 40 miles? Okay, deal. Race morning, I was feeling pretty excited. The work was done. Again, I knew it was just gonna feel that Monica and I were going out for another training run. We had just run, the course from start to finish in its entirety. And that was just such a huge confidence boost that I knew all I had to do was go out and run. So I didn't feel nervous. I was excited. I gave my dad a kiss. I gave Leroy a kiss. We got in the car and yeah, it was ready to do the thing.
That'll never happen.
He's mean.
I'm about ready to cut this one.
I have scissors.
All right, are you ready?
What's interesting about the Strolling Jim race is they have train tracks that go right through the middle of where the start line is and where the finish line is. And when we got there to the race that morning, we had parked on the start line side and the porta potties were on the finishing side. And so race morning, the only thing I was nervous about was being on the wrong side of the tracks if a train came when it was time to start the race. And so I needed to use the restroom, and as I started to go over to the restroom, a train started coming and I thought, uh-oh, I can't go. And it turns out they had planted the conductor there to kind of mess with us mentally, and he wasn't actually going to come across the train tracks at that time. And so it helped alleviate some nerves that, all of the runners there were just all in a good mood, and they were sharing stories about all the years that they've ran this race, and it was just a really good atmosphere to be around.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Preparing for the race was easy. My husband actually had the hardest part of race day. All I had to do was run, and Corey had to drive around every 5 miles to crew Monica and I during the race.
I'll give you a little piece of unsolicited advice here. Nutrition is important, all right? Any sport you do, nutrition has to be paramount. So in my case, I've got to fuel up properly. So I've got my turkey cheese sandwich, a staple here in the South, diet sun-dried. So whatever sport you're doing, make sure your nutrition's on point.
The first, I'd say 10 miles, 15 miles of the race, I was feeling great. I knew that I had to be very conservative. I needed to pace properly. It's a very long day, a very long race. Thankfully, it wasn't too hot at that point. I had a good breakfast. My stomach was feeling good. My legs felt great. Every 5 miles, I got to see my husband, and he was going to throw snacks my way. So I knew it was going to be a good day.
I got some. Did you text the girls?
I've been texting everybody. Okay. So everybody's in good shape.
Well, you got my snack.
Your streaks are alive.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Let me tell you.
Woo. All right, thanks, bud.
Yep. Good.
What's up?
The first 15 miles, I felt great. Into 20, I felt great. And I was on pace. And then it started to get hot.
Been good. Bottle for you.
Thank you.
What you need? You need another Uncrustable, I'm sure.
I'm dropping.
Need refill?
Yeah, just for next time.
All right.
Oh, it's getting hot.
Yes, it's getting hot.
Salt tabs. Eat some real food, Shyla.
I just did.
When we hit about mile 26, Monica and I would start calling out all of the exciting things. We go, we just hit a marathon, yes. And then I think there's this gnarly hill, about 300 feet of gain at around the marathon mark, maybe a little over. And so we were still feeling good to the marathon mark. Around mile 30 is when it started getting pretty hot out, and most of our training had been when it was cooler. So I had not gotten acclimated to much heat at this point, and I have never been a really strong runner in the heat. So once it started to get super warm, I started to get pretty uncomfortable, and around mile 32, when I saw Corey, that was the one point where I was a little nervous about the heat. I still wasn't eating enough, but I mean, still, I kept reminding myself, your body feels great, you're gonna be tired right now, and I just knew that I was gonna be uncomfortable.
Whew.
Monica, that Nathan is full and it's cold.
Thank you.
Oh, that's so nice. Do you have more Coke or no? 7-Up? Anything?
7-Up? Yes,
And I did have one low point there, and it ended up hurting me because I would keep looking at my watch, and I would go, oh, you're so slow, you're better than this, who do you think you are out here? People started to pass us, and I got in my head a little bit, and I started focusing on pace and on the numbers. And you know, Monica, like she always does, was able to say, hey, look, this is an ultra marathon. You don't have to worry about being the fastest person here. You don't need to look at your numbers. We just have to finish this thing. We met a lot of amazing people who were also going through the same thing as we were. So it was something where you had fellow runners that were enduring tough challenges, low points. They were in the heat as well. And just knowing that we were going through it all together just made it so much easier. Going into the final section of the race, we saw Corey for the last time. We knew we only had a few miles left. There's one main road that you have to turn on to go back into Wartrace, and it takes you all the way to the finish line. And on that last stretch, I felt a big sense of gratefulness to be there with Monica, and just to realize that all the hard work that we put in led to this moment.
I think we're about 3 miles.
We're right at 3.
Will you get this one out? Will you get this one out? I don't need any more.
Oh yeah,
Thank you. And fill this one up, and then I'll be ready to go. I can't get it off my hands or numb.
I tried to be thankful in that moment, but I also had this little, I don't know if it's angel or devil, but it said, okay, you can do this. What's next? So while I was trying to take in this finish and be so excited, I was also thinking, okay, you did this. You're almost there. You're going to cross this finish line, but what's next? What can you do past this? So Monica and I already probably were talking about races that we were going to do next. And I think at one point we were actually talking about the run that we were going to do in a couple of days after that. So we were thankful to be in the moment, but Monica and I always tend to think about what's next. It was really special crossing the finish line, not only because it just is exciting to finish a race, but I had some really special friends at the end of the race. Our friend Miranda and our friend The Beans, they were there. Kim, Dory, Heather, and JJ, they came to support us at the end of the race, and that just meant so much that they would take the time to come there. And of course, you'll see that Corey was not only behind the scenes doing the crewing, but he was also running a camera. And it was just really special knowing that as we were crossing the finish line, Corey was right behind us, as he has been for the entire training season.
What do you think the future holds for her if she continues to kind of go at the pace she's going?
Shyla's got a bright future. I started running in 2016. I was in my late 40s, and she's starting younger. And, Shyla has got grit. It's the best way I can say it, grit. She's very determined. She's got a lot of perseverance. And Shyla's going to do great things as an ultra runner. I know that good things are coming to Shyla. And the thing about her is she won't quit. She won't give up. She'll keep doing whatever it takes to get the job done.
So what's next for you?
So currently I am in the middle of training for the Hurricane 100K, which is in Hurricane, West Virginia. It is a trail race. It is something that I never thought I would have signed up for. I have always been super comfortable on the road. And after Strolling Jim, I thought, okay, I know I can do this. Let's try something that scares me a little bit. And the trails scare me a little bit because they're different. My ultimate goal with ultra running is twofold. I think if we think physical goal in terms of numbers, I would love to say that I can run 100 miles. I would love to be a 100-mile finisher. But really, the reason that I'm ultra running is to find that place mentally that I can push past. I think all of the adventures that I've been on, all the races I've done, I've never hit that point that challenges me to say, you can't do this. You need to stop this. You aren't good enough for this. And I'm trying to find that point, and I haven't found it yet. And so I think as long as I continue pushing, especially the things that scare me, I'm gonna find it. You're gonna have to cut some of that because I said weird words sometimes. That's a wrap.